Well, hey, everybody, this is Chris DeFiorio with Keys to the Shop, and welcome to another edition of Shift Break. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at rattleware.com. Rattleware.com is where you should go for your smallwares. They have been in the business of smallwares for quite a long time, decades, in fact. They believe that smallwares are meant to support the business of your coffee shop. I mean, you don't want to have to think about smallwares. You just want to use the stuff. You want something that's functional, something that's going to just work. And that's what they like to do. They just like to work and support you through quality smallwares like pitchers and whisks and knock boxes and steel and glass. There's endless smallwares that a coffee shop has that all fits into the big picture of a daily the day's operations. And so I would encourage you to go to rattleware.com and learn more today. Also, we are sponsored by La Marzocco. They are just such a fantastic company in terms of their machines. They are second to none. Quality, innovation, beauty. The machines like the KB90 with the straight-in locking portafilters for ergonomics. You've got the Linea PB with that classic profile, the Linea with all the technology of today to help you dial in your espresso to the nth degree. The Leva espresso machine for a lever, pulling a shot of espresso, and just any kind of configuration that you can think of or style to fit your coffee shop. This often is a centerpiece. It is a workhorse. If you've got a La Marzocco, you know these things are made to be used to create beautiful coffee moments. And so go to lamarzocousa.com or reach out directly to their sales folks by emailing info@lamarzocousa.com and let them help you choose the right equipment for your cafe. Now, today's episode, we're talking about the meaning of money. The meaning of money. One of the things that I really have seen in the years and years of doing coffee is that we create some kind of a wall between us and the practical aspects of running a business. There is the aspirational aspects of running a business, and then there are the practical aspects. The practical stuff oftentimes becomes a problem, and then we pay attention to it. Well, we set it up at first, and we do so sometimes in ways that are kind of questionable, like pricing just based on what your competitors are charging. And you say, well, that's what they charge for a latte, but we're not going to go into pricing out what each lid, cup, straw, every gram of coffee and ounce of milk, what that costs, to see if we're in that proper range of acceptable costs of goods, which we recommend about 17 to 21% for your coffee beverages. We're just going to say that's what they're doing, and so we're going to do that. So that's an example of questionable decisions about money and about setting up the operational aspects of your business, because we want to be artists, we want to be community, we want to be like in the mix and chopping it up and being coffee shop owners, and that's the vibe that we want. We want to be receivers of the vibe, right? The other way that we can create a wall between us is on the complete other end of things, which is where all we think about is the operational aspect of the business, where we only think about the efficiencies. We only think about labor cost and numbers, and those things do need to be thought about. You have to be profitable. You cannot sustain a great coffee business. In fact, you can't do the ROM, which is the return on mission for your business, all the energy you put into this, without having ROI, without having a profitable business in all different areas of whether you have a roastery cafe or a cafe and a kitchen and a bakery and that kind of thing. Your business needs to make a healthy profit in order to be healthy. But at the same time, you can get lost in the numbers to forget that behind every number is a person. And so one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today is a little bit of a holistic way of thinking about this. You kind of have to meld the two and allow the money aspect of the business to become part of the mission of the business, so that it's not separated in, oh, I don't want to think about money. And it's not also all I think about is money and how I don't have it, or, labor cost was bad this afternoon and therefore the business is going to go out of business. We can get our heads so far into the communal aspect of coffee that we forget about making a profit. And we can get so caught up in making a profit that we actually cut off the branch we're sitting on by ignoring the fact that some of the hospitality and service or the quality control of our product is causing people to have less faith in our brand and eventually shortens the lifespan of their patronage. And so, one of the things that you need to think about is what is behind every dollar in this business and what does it signify? Now, we did talk about quality numbers earlier this year with regular versus quality numbers shift break. And if you haven't listened to that, go ahead and listen to it. But numbers, when it comes to reports, the meaning of money is that of trust. People have trusted your business. At first, it's a just a one-time thing for some people. Like, we'll try them out. We're going to try them out for the first time. There's always a first time that a customer goes to your cafe. Now, if they keep returning, that means they continue to trust you. And each dollar spent is a representation of that trust. And therefore, the way that we steward the operations, the effectiveness of our communication, the quality control systems we implement, the good financial hygiene of our business, that all is a craft. We call that like the craft of operations. It's just as important to keep your espresso machine and grinder clean as it is to source a great coffee for putting in that grinder and in that machine. You need both things. So there's that technical financial aspect, and then there's that bean, that artisan product that has all that potential. So it's not one or the other, it's both. And both inform the other. So if you want to have a successful coffee shop, it's not going to be something that is only focused on one or the other. It's focused on both. And by the way, you and your staff should have conversations about money. I'm a big believer in transparency. That doesn't mean you have to share every nickel and dime about the business. But what a great opportunity to teach your staff the realities of small business and involve them in seeing in the conversation so that they have a little bit more buy-in to say every little thing you do translates to a healthier business. And if you're the generous person that I think you are as an operator, and I hope you are, then the success of the business translates directly to the success of the staff. A raise, different opportunities. That generosity comes from a place of healthy financials, born from healthy operations and service and quality. And that's the kind of conversation that more coffee shops need to have so that money doesn't it doesn't just kind of fall into this, oh, that's a dirty word. We don't talk about that. Or we make tons of negative assumptions about money, especially when it comes to, we maybe feel guilty by even thinking of the word profit, and somehow think it's a noble thing that we're not profitable. I know that you're probably thinking like nobody thinks that, but the fact that we don't face these topics head on means that we're avoiding them for some weird reason. And I'm not saying that you need to figure out exactly what that reason is. Just move to the place of bringing the topic up, even amongst you and your leadership team, or you and your business partner, or just yourself, and say, what is it that we need to do to have a better conversation about money? Maybe we need to have a meeting a little bit more often, going over the P&L and celebrate some of the successes that we've made in our profitability. Look back and see how the percentage increase year over year is showing that the community continues to trust us. And now let's take that success and use it as an energizing force to help us increase the level of consistency, the level of quality, hospitality, etc. in the store, to honor their vote for us to stay around. So the meaning of money is something deeper than just ones and zeros. It's actually about that return on mission. You're accomplishing what you set out to do. In order to do that, you have to be profitable. But sometimes in order to be profitable, you got to have a why behind the what. So it's a symbiotic relationship. And that really does imbue the whole conversation with deeper meaning around the subject of money. So, as always, I hope that you go to the show notes and check out some of the related episodes to this topic. That really is a helpful thing to do. This one is going to be made up of other shift breaks, so it's not a huge time commitment to go and listen to a few more on this topic. So I hope you do that. And as always, you can always reach out, Chris at keystotheshop.com. We have our keyholder coaching group starting back up, so you can apply following the link in the show notes. We also have our webinar starting February 11th. That is the second time we're running the Principles of Cafe Success webinar, just $99 per person. So sign up today for that, as well as always keep in mind, Keys to the Shop works one-on-one with clients from all over the world to help them build an amazing cafe and thriving culture and great quality. So I hope that that's something that we get to work on together. As always, thank you very much, and we'll see you here next week for another edition of Shift Break from Keys to the Shop.